What's up, everyone? Dirt Nasty here. Today I want to talk about Call of Duty World War II, the upcoming title in the COD franchise from Sledgehammer Gaming. A week or so ago, they released lots of footage of multiplayer gameplay at E3, allowing selected gamers and content streamers early access to limited multiplayer gameplay. You can find most of this content on quite a few sites, especially YouTube, who had a live feed at the E3 for the entire event every day. Man, I have to say that I'm excited after watching some of the footage and features of the game and these live feeds and recorded content. I'm extremely excited to be going back in time to World War II, back to where it all began with the first COD in 2003. Only this time we get the benefit of HD gaming and all the amazing possibilities it has to offer to the gamers today. There's a whole new generation of young gamers that will get to experience what we did back then. And only this time, it's much more vivid detail with much faster frame rates and higher resolution. Although players at E3 covered most of the aspects of the game like weapons, maps, game modes, and a few did touch on the score streaks somewhat, I felt it was necessary to get a little deeper into this aspect of the game, especially the score streaks. I know that players allowed to play the game at E3 were under an obligation to Sledgehammer Gaming to only reveal bits and pieces of the multiplayer content, and they did quite well with that in that respect. In this video, we'll break down one by one all the streaks that were seen in the game at E3 and some brief footage of a few of them in use as well. When asked, they did mention that there were additional streaks to be added later in the game, so some of the points to acquire score streaks at E3 may not be the final actual points needed to get these streaks in the game. The rest of them could be showing up in either the soon-to-be-released beta or even in the final product release in November. We also haven't heard about any type of game-ending streak like we've seen in most of the recent COD titles like a nuke or a Moab or whatever they're going to call it, or even if there is one. So, okay, let's get into what we've seen so far and what we know from E3. Right out of the gate, the first thing to talk about is the classic Recon Aircraft, or as seen in other COD titles, World War II's version of a UAV. This was seen in Call of Duty World at War for sure. This is a recon plane that reveals enemy locations on the minimap for a short period of time. This item comes in at 400 points, and I'm guessing the only two things that can affect it are the next streak in the list to talk about, the counter Recon Aircraft, and a much higher score streak we'll also get into called the Flak Gunner. And so yes, the second one on the list, the counter Recon Aircraft, there's been some debate about what it will actually do against a Recon Aircraft. This is a fighter that will either destroy an enemy Recon Aircraft, counter Recon Aircraft, or block enemy Recon Aircraft. This score streak comes in at 425 points. And the later score streak, Flak Gunner, can also affect this streak as well. One thing I've seen is that there appears to be no launcher type weapons in any game footage that I watched that could take these types of streaks down. So a player would most likely have to shoot them down with their weapons or have that higher streak available to affect either of these lower two streaks. The very next streak to talk about is Flamethrower, a portable backpack flamethrower. This streak comes in at 500 points. This score streak does not end when you die. There is a fuel tank indicator on your screen, and you can use the weapon until all the fuel has been expended. From watching footage at E3, this isn't as crazy a score streak as Firebreak has in Black Ops 3 with the Purifier. It has a much shorter time to live, but the range still seems to be pretty decent. The next streak is Fighter Pilot. This streak is quite cool, giving you an aerial view of the map as you make a single pass strafing run at the enemies on the ground. This streak comes in at 525 points. I have mixed impressions with it though. From the footage I saw, you could get no kills or get quite a few. This is going to be determined by how good you are at setting the direction of the strafing run hits on your map prior to deploying it. The very next streak to talk about, of course, what COD title wouldn't be complete without the good old care package. This time around, it's delivered via parachute to the ground, giving the user a random score streak. This comes in at 550 points. For sure, we know this can be shot down and destroyed by enemy gunfire before it hits the ground. A couple things we don't know. One, can any of the score streaks in the game affect delivery of the care package? Streaks like artillery barrage, carpet bombing, or Flak Gunner. Two, will it generate any score streak in the inventory? Or will there be certain streaks you can only get by acquiring points and not by a care package drop? The next score streak is Glide Bomb, a remote controlled bomb you can guide onto a target from overhead. It gives you a live camera view of the map below as you are guiding it to the target. This streak comes in at 650 points. Up next, we have Mortar Strike. This is a precision strike upon 3 targeted locations on the map. The streak comes in at 750 points. This would be an extremely effective streak in objective-based gameplay, say by dropping all 3 strikes on all 3 dom points, or perhaps during search and destroy or headquarters. And next is Artillery Barrage. Use this to unleash a barrage on a single designated location on the map. This also sounds like an effective score streak designed for objective-based gaming. The next streak to talk about is Flak Gunner. This streak destroys all enemy aerial score streaks and blocks enemies from using new ones. This one comes in at 950 points. Now we're getting into much higher streaks. We talked earlier about this streak being able to affect other streaks like Recon and Counter Recon, but I think this one could be even more devastating streak in the game and affect every aerial streak that the enemy has in the sky, like even Fighter Pilot, and perhaps even a couple of the higher streaks we've yet to talk about, like Carpet Bomber and Ball Turret Gunner. I sure would like to know what aerial streaks it affects, and from the description of the streak, it would be nice to know what the time to live is and how long it's impacting the enemy's ability to deploy their own aerial streaks.
Let's go!
The next score streak sounds kind of fun, Paratroopers. With this streak, you call in paratrooper reinforcements to assist your team during a match. This streak comes in at 1,000 points. So a pretty high streak to get as well. I've heard from gamers and streamers during some of their E3 gameplay videos say that you get like 6 additional soldiers to drop in on the map to assist your team. I've also heard an enemy can effectively shoot them from the sky as they are falling if the enemy is near enough to do so. Questions I have are, do all the paratroopers remain on the map and continue to assist until they've all been killed by enemy weapons? And does the previously mentioned Flak Gunner effectively block this from being deployed? That would kind of suck if someone has Flak Gunner towards the end of a match and a player wouldn't be able to deploy any of their aerial streaks. The last 2 score streaks shown at E3 sound and look pretty intense. The first one, Carpet Bombing, an aerial obliteration bombing that makes multiple passes over the enemy occupied territory. Insane. This one comes in at a huge 1,200 points. My impression of this might be like Black Ops 3's Rolling Thunder, only a little bit more intense. One thing that drove me insane about this kind of streak was my screen would also shake from a teammates deploying such a weapon, and hopefully when playing in hardcore mode, that is if there is a hardcore mode, that you don't get team killed to death and players constantly getting kicked from matches for using their own streak. And saving the best for last, the most devastating score streak shown at E3, Ball Turret Gunner. A player occupies a B-17G and decimates enemies with its ball turret. You are in the turret under the plane looking down on the map and blazing up the map with dual 50 cal machine guns while circling it. This streak comes in at a massive 1,400 points. This is World War II's version of the classic chopper gunner, mothership, warden, whatever you want to call it. As mentioned earlier, will this streak be available in a care package or only be obtained by points? And will the Flak Gunner have an impact on this streak if it's in the air, or can it be blocked with Flak Gunner while it's active? Once again, thanks for checking out this video, and thanks to all gamers and streamers attending at E3 who made some of the minor clips injected into this video possible. Throw a like on our channel if you enjoyed it. As more information becomes available, we will be bringing more videos for you to check out. We'll bring things like divisions, weapons, lethals, tacticals, maps, and game modes. Be sure to hit that subscribe button over there and keep checking back as we drop more videos related to not only the upcoming title release, but footage on existing titles in the COD universe as well. Feel free to leave comments below if there's content or information you'd like us to do a video about. We cover game, config file setups, networks, hardware optimization for PC gaming, game footage, montages, camo challenges, the list goes on. Peace and happy gaming.